I work for Atomic Object, that's right up the street, and I work in the sector of custom software. So many of you have probably heard about Marie Kondo. She's the author of the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and Spark Joy, and she's recently been highlighted in the Netflix show Tidying Up. In her book, she has this overview. The KonMari method, which is the name of her method, is not a mere set of rules on how to sort, organize, and put things away. Rather, it's a guide for acquiring the right mindset. When I read this, I immediately thought, ooh, this is a new framework. Maybe we can apply it to design. So I'm not saying 100% of what she says in the book applies to design, but what I'd like to talk about today is what is this mindset if you don't already know about it, and how can we apply it to design and to information architecture. And if we are designers in an in-house role or in a role that I'm in, working with clients, how can we help them apply this framework? So before you tidy, this is sort of her context in which she writes her book. You have to do it going all in, and it should be a special occasion. So she says this should happen maybe once a year. In the case of websites, it might make more sense to do it like every few years. And that you should have an ideal future in mind. And I think Mike really touched on that when he talked about the user experience design scenarios. So, Marie says this: effective tidying involves only two essential actions, discarding and storage. I think as a design community, we think very frequently about how we're storing our content. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about discarding. Probably you've heard the statement, does it spark joy? What this means in the context of Marie's books is the idea that we should keep things that make us feel happy and that make us feel good. And her idea behind this is that it's really, really hard to let go of things. We know that there's cognitive biases about this. So if you focus on what sparks joy, it's easier to think about what you want to keep rather than what you want to discard. She also talks about this idea in the context of your future. So what things do I want to bring into this ideal future that I've already decided? As designers, we have a similar rule, but it's for users. For us, sometimes that means that it's invisible. This lady is really happy using her cell phone because she's holding a cookie, and I cropped it out. Like most of our users are not going to be this happy because they're not even going to realize that what we've done is create a good user experience for them by letting them focus on the things that spark joy for them rather than on all the other stuff that's going on your page. So what's a way we can do this? If we're following the KonMari method, the first thing we want to do is look at everything at once. So this means if you're using an existing site, print out the site map, or look at your current site architecture. You can then use this modified priority matrix, looking either at usage or at user value. I've seen it both ways. So you have low pain, high pain, low use to high use, or low value to users to high value to users. Obviously then, you can decide what sparks joy, what you can improve on your site, and what you might be able to actually remove. And by doing this, you might be able to get rid of parts of your process or parts of your workflow that are actually deterring from the user's ability to do what they need to do on the site in an efficient way. Another way to do this is through journey or experience mapping. One of my favorite methods to do with clients to help them focus is to actually make one main journey map and capture all the edge cases off on the side in exception journey maps. So it's really hard, especially for clients who have an existing site, to think about, okay, this is the main journey, but then sometimes on Tuesdays we like process this, and then once a month we do XYZ. So getting all those side journeys off into the side where they're documented and can be referenced, but you can really focus the client on the main journey makes it a lot easier for them to also think about what does this ideal journey, the spark joy journey, look like for users. So as I was saying, the second half of the KonMari method is storage. She really focuses on storing similar items together in the same place. So as you can see in the picture, the cups aren't split between two sections. All the glass cups are together, all the plates are together. There's not linens all over the house. There's one closet for linens. And she also spends a lot of time talking about ways to optimize organization of things for storage. So pulling things to the front of the cabinet where you can see it, making sure that you can see everything in the cabinet at once. Obviously, as designers, we have the exact same requirements because we're working on creating navigations and we're working on organizing content on the site in a way that users can use it. So one way to do this is with navigation. These are glasses, and one thing that I like is that they're using icons to make it easier to see what's inside the site. The same way as when you open a closet, you want to be able to see the sections, like I have my linens here, and I have my cleaning supplies here, and I have whatever next. Similarly, this site by VW does the same thing, where at a glance you can look at the site and you can see, okay, here's my categories, here's what's available on the site, I can see some additional information to help support. But at a glance, I can see, okay, what's in this closet when I open it? What's in this room when I step into the room? We're doing the same thing that she's doing with the space by storing things in a way that they're easily visible and that you can see what is being stored inside the site. So to recap, I think it would help us as designers, especially when looking at existing sites, to think about what sparks joy for our users and discard the things that are distracting or that are deterring from the user experience. And I also think it's important, as all of us know, to ensure that there's proper storage of content. So by using hierarchy and showing content intentionally and giving people a nice overview when they get into the site, you'll give them context so that they know what they're doing. Thank you.